It's got 5:15. Let's call this February 22nd, 2021, Building and Grounds and Budget Committee meeting in order. I want to take roll, and then if you don't want to take roll.
All right.
Commissioner Stubblefield?
Here.
Commissioner Glover? Here. Commissioner Bowens? Mr. Bowens is absent. Commissioner Wade?
Here.
Chair's here, so we have 4 present, 1 absent.
All right, I'll take roll for Building and Grounds. Commissioner Couts.
Here.
Commissioner Haley.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Hogan.
I'm here.
Commissioner Moore.
Here.
Chair's here. We've got everyone here. It makes 5.
Budget Committee, you've got minutes from your January 26, 2021 meeting. Are there any additions or subtractions to them?
I move for approval. I second.
I've got a motion to approve by Glover, and I've got a second by Wade.
I can see.
All those in favor say aye.
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 4 ayes, the ayes have it.
Okay.
You got it.
No, Leanne did y'all.
Right now. What did you say?
I think Leanne will have here.
She
Oh,
She didn't
Yeah,
have them
you
ready.
yeah, we didn't have it
Yeah.
right now.
Okay.
Okay, you want to go on? You want to go on?
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, in our Building and Grounds, we've got, if Trey wants to explain this right here on the showers and everything for the sheriff, we can go over this just a second and we'll go on and pass this through. This is what we were waiting on our last meeting, and he didn't have the numbers in yet.
Okay. If you're a committee member attending remotely, you should have an email from me. Granted, I didn't send it for about the last hour, but you should have this in your packet. If there's anybody here that needs one, an attendance,
When did you send it, Trey?
an hour ago.
I
But that's what you have. You have copies.
We got
That's what I
that.
just gave you.
Yeah.
got it.
That's what I.
Okay.
But I gave you this packet. The first one has 4 sheets in it, and it is the detention center plumbing repair and renovation project. The second sheet is the main sheet, I guess, that we will look at. I tried to just do a simple, straightforward, clear budget, how we came up with a $230,000 budget. The actual construction forecasted about $173,766. Design, bidding, and inspection as it's being built, another 26. And then I did put contingencies because we're dealing with a jail. It's not typical construction. The third sheet gives a written narrative of exactly what we're doing, and I can go through that if you want me to. And the last sheet shows specific costs by construction divisions, meaning masonry, concrete, plumbing, electrical, and whatnot. We did, as we said at the last meeting, we had the architects all over there, and we spent an hour and a half there. Major Crawford let us in, and we feel good about this budget. Glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Move with second as
All right.
presented.
All right, got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hogan, second by Commissioner Couts. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved. Now, we going to do this one together?
Yeah, your committee will need to discuss
Okay.
that.
This right here is the, what we're gonna do, our next one, I guess everyone's got this, even online. It's where that we were doing the room on the 3rd floor to move the election.
All right, is that the one dated February the 5th or February the 16th?
I got February 16th. February 16th.
Yeah, Trey, you want to jump in on this? Because I'm looking at a figure that I don't think is right.
Yeah,
Keith is correct. It was
Hey,
mine,
time out. Which one are we looking at?
February 16th.
February 16th.
Yes,
What you
ma'am.
got?
Yeah, 6/2/30.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay, it was my intention to come here and give you this handout, as I have done, and recommend a budget of $300,000. That was true until after lunch today. I even spoke with the sheriff, probably 1 o'clock or so. We went through some stuff to make sure we're on the same page. Then we found out the latter part of the afternoon, there's been some changes. I am going to turn it over in a minute to either Kathy or Maynard and let them expand upon this. But I'll give a little 2-minute summary. They have come to find out as of today, and this not some last minute thing. They had mentioned to me as late as last week and prior to that, about a week before that. Because of all the election fraud allegations and whatnot nationwide, that the state, and I don't know, they'll tell you exactly if it's coming from the feds or state or whatever, we're gonna have to get new voting machines. They just found out literally today, late morning or right after lunch, what's gonna be required with that, and that's what Maynard's gonna go over. But it's gonna be more machines and larger machines. So they're gonna speak to you in just a moment about what that means to the overall project. Joe Ford and I and Maynard went and looked 2:30 this afternoon, and Maynard has a pretty good idea about the corridor, the hallway outside what we were already looking at renovating. It's parallel to it, to be about 8.5 foot wide by 41 foot long, about another 350 square feet. We were already looking at 1,500 square feet, but only 1,300 and some of that is their actual room. The other is kind of a foyer vestibule that made up the other 150 or so feet, 200 feet, get it to over 1,500 feet. So I will turn over to Maynard just a second. It is, though, one thing I think I have not done it a service. I have referred to it as a voting machine storage room relocation. But as I get more and more into it and see, it is much more than that with what they add, not just storing machines. So I will turn it over to Maynard at this time, and then if you want to, when he gets done, I do have a recommendation of what you can look at doing.
Ms. Hampton's going to give you a handout that has some information tied to this. We have been trying for the last several weeks to get information on the new voting machines from Microvote. That's the company that we're currently using, and it had zero issues with during elections since we changed from the Shooptronic machine of old to this particular vendor. The state, in its wisdom, decided that voters needed to be able to see who they voted for when they cast their ballot. This particular machine is what Microvote has come up with. The current machines, the cases are 25 by 24 by 5.5 inches deep. And they look like a suitcase. The new machines will be 41 by 21 by 10. If you turn to the second page, it'll give you the outside dimensions of the new machine. This machine will hold the voting panel and also hold the printer. It holds the legs. It holds everything except, and that was the information I did not get till this morning about 8:30, the battery backup. So now we have additional equipment to go with this entire system. We cannot stack machines when we work on them. The printer, every printer that goes out, we test. Number one, to make sure it has paper in it. Number two, that the printer works. So we go from testing 19 printers to 72 printers and beyond, depending on how many machines we end up with. So we've got to have the room to spread these things out so we can test them. You'll turn to the next page. You'll see what the inside of the new voting machine looks like. So we're not talking about something as small as we're doing now. That's why I was trying to figure out some place to spread these things out once we go to this. Are we going to it next week? No. We're trying to be forward thinking and forward looking. We have, as you know, fault's not a good word. We've been in disagreement from day one over the room. But as we look to see what's coming down the pipe, in order, if you're going to spend $300,000 to fix a room for the voting machines and the technicians to use, we've discovered what's there may not be enough. We need to try to expand what's there. The cheapest way that I thought to do that, and I apologize, if you turn back to the first page, is take up that hallway. The pink area will be the outer perimeter of the voting machine room. That's what was proposed. The green lines you see are the walls that comes out. What we would propose is if you go right across the hall, build a block wall here and a block wall here to make this a encased opening out of some of these doors so we can get to the other side. This particular wall is already floor to ceiling, so this wall is secured outside of blocking up these three doors that you were going to have to anyway. So, yeah, it's a little more money. You got more lights, more electricity, but we could really use the space. Finally, if you'll turn to the last page. This was a quote done on February the 12th. Kathy requested it. So you can see what we're dealing with. It's $312,900 for 72 machines, 5 extra BB pad. The BB pad's the printer, actually. And then 1 new laptop to go for the system. The other issue we come across, the cases being 41 inches long, open up the 41-inch width. That's how we program the machine. The voting machine will be sitting in the case. The printer's beside it. We go by, plug in the laptop, program it, make sure the printers work, make sure the printer's got paper in it, go to the next machine. So, at first, as I told you, we were totally against it. But again, trying to look down the road, making this as a smooth a transition as possible. We're asking for more space before this gets going.
So when you say battery backups, how big are we talking about these battery backups? I mean, are they I know the machine cases are bigger, but we're also throwing in the battery backup. Are we saying that's causing us to have more space?
Yes, sir. They're 19 by 9 by 31, or depending on the other ones, 25 by 10 by 38. I'm sorry, that's a lie. I looked at centimeters. 7.5 by 3 by 12. They're not big. The problem is I got to have 72 of them.
Okay.
Right now we've got 24. But go to these machines, got to have 72.
And then they are in cases
That's what I
a
was
little
fixing
bit
to ask.
smaller than the voting machine we have now.
Yeah.
So you've got to store 72 cases that are
That
probably the
was my
size
next
of a.
question.
Yeah, it just keeps growing,
Right.
unfortunately.
So we're talking about something in a case, not a little bitty battery
No.
backup.
No.
Okay.
The other issue that we've come across, and Kathy can speak to this more than I can, is reapportionment occurs at 22.
We have to have the reapportionment and everything completed, new precincts, new lines drawn by August of 2022 before the next general election. So we don't know what the numbers are as far as registered voters. You can only have you have to have one voting machine per 50, I think it's 1,000 or 50, I'll have to look, 1,500 registered voters. Well, like White House has 4,200 registered voters. We use 4 machines. Well, we know the number is going to rise. We may even have to go to another voting precinct over there. But we know with this estimate that Microvote gave me, we are, depending on the census, we may have to add 10 more voting machines to this, but we don't know what the outcome's going to be with our numbers. Now, this right here is it's not mandated by the state. A lot of our richer counties have already purchased new voting machines. They have the resources, they want to go ahead and do it. So, I won't come to you and ask for $400,000 for voting machines, but if it's mandated, then the state will fund the new machines. And if they fund the new machines, I would like to add in the extra 10 or 15 that we will need, because the last time we purchased voting machines was '96. But every 4 or 5 years they have been updated, and the states pay for it because it's something that they mandate. So when we got them in 96, your part was about 25,000, because we actually needed about 5 more. So I'm gonna get as many as I can if this is mandated. It may be a year, it may be 2 years. But I'm hoping I can come to you and you don't have to give me any money for new voting machines if it's mandated. But you may have to, but that's a huge amount, but we have not purchased anything since 1996. They're the same size, they just went in and did updates. So now they're saying it's probably gonna be mandated. I think it's coming, with just new technology.
So with this green space we take out right here, you feel like that's gonna give you adequate space, even if you need something else down the road, pretty much?
Maynard and they've measured,
Yeah.
so, I mean.
Is it final? I'm not gonna tell you yes, that would.
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
That's as close as we can get with what we've got to work
we just
with.
know we're growing, and when the census comes in 2022, and I'm gonna need 10 more voting machines, and we have to have these, there's gonna need to be more space.
I've got a question about the map there. Okay, I see the elevator on there. That's the elevator out in the little breezeway area. And then I assume the little walk door there, is that the deadbolt lock that so are you saying that y'all need all that shaded in pink? Because if that's the case, how is your guys going to get to where they're going?
No, that's what Trey was referring to. This is the passageway.
We can still access the elevator.
Yes.
What you say,
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah, if you'll look, see if this will help. Jump in and This is the hallway now.
Correct.
The pink is just showing you that that'll be a renovated portion.
Gotcha.
This door exists. This door does not. Under the renovation, this door will be added, allowing them to come through this small walkway or hallway into their offices they have over here.
See, what we're wanting to do, Keith, what Maynard is needing now is just a block wall built from here to here, and block the openings in. Like
So
a case
sheriff will
opening.
still have access on the backside.
Yes.
Right.
But we're just gonna take advantage of the space in the
But the
hallway, which
space
makes
is-
perfect sense.
We're gonna have all that
Yes.
asbestos already abated
Yeah.
anyway, so you're gonna just increase his space by 350 square feet.
You're building two
You're
block
taking
walls.
up only that hallway.
Only the
You're
hallway.
not going over there to those 2 support walls.
Right.
No,
No,
And you're not moving on this end of the building either.
no, just from right there to right there.
Is the renovation gonna give us enough heating and air to expand even further in the future?
Yes, they're gonna put in there, this is gonna have its own separate unit.
And is that gonna cover the
Evaporator
entire
working.
square footage up there?
Yes, it's gonna cover this. It ain't gonna cover everything.
Why not?
Well, if you won't spend the money, we'll get into that.
What would it cost?
Oh, $1 million. I'm throwing a ballpark out there.
You wouldn't want all that on one
When
unit
you
anyway.
renovate all of this, we're looking at a lot of square feet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you wouldn't want all that in one unit anyway, would you?
No, but you can put it like we got these 20 tons. The 20-ton units cost you $125,000, not counting the ductwork, piping, because you'd have to increase your piping up there. Right now, we can use the existing piping by setting, probably he's gonna set a 5-ton, 5 or 6 ton, but he said it was gonna be adequate, so.
Okay.
But that room needs to have its own regulation of temperature too, correct?
It does.
I mean, it don't need to be on, it needs to be on its own,
Yeah. And
it'd
if,
make our life easier.
yeah.
and if you wanted to, I mean, you're gonna spend a lot of money.
We don't have the money to spend.
You know, and this is unrenovated areas right here. This has already got its own unit. This would just be tied into a little 5 or 6 ton where we can use our existing water flow. That's where the big key comes in. Coming off our cooling tower,
Okay.
that piping is big enough, but if we add all of it, you gotta go all the way back to that cooling tower, add an extra pump, extra piping, and a 25 ton unit.
But basically, we're dealing with 1,800 square feet tonight.
Right.
Pretty much.
Sheriff, you live with it?
I just want to make sure I understand. We're talking, it's not drawn on here yet, taking this hallway here down.
Yes, just build a wall from right there to right there, and right there to right there.
These three.
And then open.
Still got access from
Yeah,
here.
yeah, but these would be blocked in, and then we'll make a case, big case opening right
It's not
here.
affecting access.
No, it's not affecting y'all coming
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Hey, can somebody just hold that up? So we got people like on this looking to just explain exactly what we're talking about here. I mean, just for, I hate not to show it to them, you know. I know we got Steve up there.
I'm gonna hold this,
Back up, Joe, so I can follow you through.
I'm gonna hold this just like where we're, like the building sets, right there. You come in by the elevators down here, what we're talking about adding, is building a short wall from here to here, and from here to here, framing in these doors and making a big cased opening, and that adds 300 and, actually, if you wanna know, it's 348 square feet more.
To the
To,
13.
to this area right here where all this is been on.
1,387, is that correct?
That was
Yes,
original.
That's original.
Original, you're gonna add 300.
Then we're just gonna build a short brick wall here, brick wall right here. And put in one big cased opening to open it up, and the unit and all will handle everything.
What's 1,700 square foot approximately, somewhere in there?
Yes, sir.
You do have that entryway out there. I say total project probably 1,900 square
Yeah,
feet.
Yeah, I thought it was 15 plus 4.
About 1,900 square feet.
well, with everything, you
Right.
still have this
Without
right
what
here.
was brought up this afternoon was 1,500 square feet, right? Is that
Yes,
right? Not
yes.
1,300. And then we're gonna add another 350,
350.
so 1,900 square feet.
Right, but you still have this little foyer that's gonna be separate where we
They
can
can
get
get
through, they can get through. It's gonna be renovated, because you don't want your state people to come in to look at the machines and all the plaster torn off the walls. And while you're doing it, you might as well fix it right, you know? I mean, if you're gonna go on and bite the bullet and do it, you might as well fix all this the way it needs to be fixed.
So maybe does that give y'all room if they add machines, y'all can still take care of, you think? If we add 5 like Kathy says, does that gives you room to work on your machine?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe, that'll make it a lot easier for us to
All right.
manage what we've got and what we're possibly looking at down the road.
And then there's still room to expand it later, say in 10 years.
Yeah, you got, the only thing that's being used right now is, 8, whatever, once you drug officers, is that what's up there? On that one far corner, the rest of it is just storage, basically.
What it was several years ago.
Yeah.
All right, we got any more discussion on building and grounds? So what we need to do in building and grounds is vote to accept this with $400,000 and $300,000, correct?
I think $100,000 is way too much for the walls, but let's give them enough of money to finish the project if they run into anything else, and then they can turn money back into us when they're done.
Now, I'm understanding that Robbie Peter paid Paul in this situation. Does Peter have that much money? You know what I'm
Robin,
talking about? We're taking some out of his department.
not on this. The sheriff is paying for, do you want to get into what you're paying for? You're picking up the tab on the.
Yeah, so talking with Keith, trying to make things work here. We got some salary savings, right?
No.
People that retired and fired or resigned.
Well, wait a minute, let's talk just a moment, Sheriff. You're gonna have to replace those folks, right? This is not free money
This
that
is,
you
no,
got.
this is like savings.
one-time
years
money.
and days.
This year's budget.
It's one-time money.
Yes.
Already out, yeah.
And you're not gonna replace them this year.
Now, they're being hired for, but I'm saying this is what we've already saved
Okay.
from July 1 till
Okay,
today.
thanks.
So, yeah, so trying to just work with the commission as best I can and use the money as best we know how. So taking care of the plumbing project, the $230,000 project that Trey just talked about. The train project, even though that's not just for the sheriff's office, it's for the entire county courthouse, Wakefield, or health department and all this. 60,000. I said we'll try to pay for that and help the county out. And then, if you remember, I came earlier in the year about the jail camera system come in over what we had the 250 for the grant, and it come back like it's 355. I said we just absorb that. Normally I just write a letter to Jody, say, just letting her know I plan on absorbing that with the salary savings, but since we're doing all this, just to make it as transparent as possible, everybody knows what we're doing. I'll put that in there, I'll make it all three projects.
Okay.
We ready to vote on?
Make a motion
All
that
right.
we accept it with an addition of 100,000.
I second it.
All right, got a motion to accept plus 100,000 to be 400,000 by Couts and a second by Commissioner Hogan.
Mr. Chairman, you need
Okay.
advocacy of, or discussion,
That's
because
what I was fixing to do.
we're hearing in this room, we're not hearing.
Right. So do we have any more discussion before we vote on this?
Yeah, I've got one question for the budget committee. Does that mean we're going to take it out of fund balance?
We're actually going to use some COVID money that we got. So this will be a one reading tonight instead of taking it out of fund balance. We dipped into fund balance for solid waste, and I just don't feel like we need to dip into it again.
We're not gonna get it
Thank you,
back,
Commissioner.
the money.
This was grant money that I think was just aside for anything we needed to use it for.
It was COVID money, and we've actually already paid for what what they've reimbursed us for. A lot of it was, I'm trying to think, Amanda Porter helped us out with that, and we followed all the rules, what they said, and they said it was stuff that we've got reimbursed for, we paid out of last year's budget, actually.
This was the second money, wasn't it, Jody?
Yeah, this was actually COVID money. This is where they took the clamp off, for like EMS salaries. You used to have to go out and prove that it was a COVID call, and they took that clamp off. So a lot of this actually got spent in the last fiscal year.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the question, how much more of that money do we have
We have
The last time I
approximately,
looked, about 450,000.
after this?
Yes,
And we're gonna take 100,000 out of this,
we're taking 400,000.
400,000.
We have about 850.
Okay.
We're going to take 400,000. So this will be a balanced budget amendment, one reading only.
Is this part of that $1 million that the mayor brought in here that time?
No,
That's
that
the
was the
time
very
before.
first one.
Okay.
It's gone.
that's
Just wanna make sure.
that's a governor's grant.
Yeah.
This was additional thing for COVID.
I think I heard somebody, well, sound like I heard that, yes, so. Anybody else have any more questions?
I just want to be sure that I understand Commissioner Hoover. So we've got, if it is $400,000, we have enough of COVID funds to cover the $400,000.
That's correct, with 450,000 left in that line item. So we're not using less than half of it.
Okay, thank you, sir. I didn't understand it that way. I'm glad you explained it.
I call a question.
All right, question being called. Commissioner Hogan,
I vote yes.
Commissioner Couts,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Haley,
Yes.
chair is a yes. Motion moves. All right,
I think that's all the building and grounds has
that's all
got.
we have, yeah.
So we've got two resolutions in our packet, one being resolution 022221024. This is, from the sheriff's department. That's on the salary savings funds we're using. This will have to be brought up under new business tonight. Is there any more questions or discussion on this?
Question.
What's been called, y'all ready to, I'll entertain a motion to,
I know it was approved.
I've got a motion approved by Commissioner Wade. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Glover. Any more questions or discussion? We ready to vote? Commissioner Glover?
Aye.
Commissioner Wade?
Aye.
Commissioner Stubblefield?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so that's 4 ayes have it. And next resolution we have is 022221025, and this resolution is the $400,000 changes to build the election room. You ready to vote on this?
I'll make a motion, we approve it. I've only got one thing to say about it.
Okay.
That's an awful expensive run.
I totally agree with you.
I do too.
It's
It's an awful expensive damn run.
it's a very, very expensive room.
Well, what I've learned over the years, of course, we've looked at this, back when I was in office, we looked at that area at one time to so put a drug court office in there, and it was just terribly expensive, and anything we do in the future is gonna be expensive. You know, this is expensive, if we do any other expansion anywhere in the building, it's gonna be very expensive.
And
It seems so much of it turns on the heating and air.
and asbestos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that floor there being above the courtroom, and you can attest to that, it'd be very selective what you could put there because of noise.
Well,
So I think this is probably the perfect fit for that
where are
space.
those air conditioning units up there, Joe?
The one for both juvenile and general sessions that sit on this end.
They're
Basically,
set over there,
to the top of the bench.
are they set over here or over here?
No, they're set, one of them sits right here for
Okay,
juvenile, and then this stops all the way out.
okay.
The other one's right on the other end.
There's heating and air, oh, is it just the air conditioning unit that sits up there on?
It's just the evaporator.
The
Yeah, they're
evaporator,
tied to the
big
condenser.
evaporator, they put it in here instead of on the roof. So it'll,
Okay. You got a motion to approve it, I think, don't you?
I've got a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I got a second by Commissioner Wade. Any more questions or discussion? Question ready to vote? Question been called. Commissioner Wade,
Aye.
Commissioner Stubblefield, Commissioner Glover. The chair votes aye. That's 4 ayes have it. So we will bring that up under new business tonight on the commission floor.
Let them know that there's two in the packet, that the one's gonna have to be replaced.
Yeah. So because of the last minute findings today, but our last budget amendment in our packet is not going to be right. So it's taking place. I'm fixing to send Angie an email that this passed or a text. She's going to email it out to all commissioners. I think Chad has got it set up where it's going to be on screen tonight.
Okay.
And it's going to be a paper copy for the commissioners there. So we're getting it out to them the best way we possibly know how to do it. So,
what is the new amount gonna be?
the new amount, 400,000. We don't have anything else.
Move to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. We're adjourned.